G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Alright people, review of the week time. So, before we talk about all the boxing news, we got to talk about the fights that happened the weekend. Give my 2 cents on them all, because I didn't get a chance to cover them all. You know, I've been busy the last couple of days. And we'll start with Friday. We'll start with the Wasserman card that was on Channel 5. I did see Lyndon Arthur versus, I think the guy's name was Joe McIntyre. Lyndon Arthur looking quite good. Looking powerful. You know, he definitely seems to be not relying so much on his... Well, he's still jabbing a lot, but he's actually incorporating the right hand now. I think he's a better fighter than the Yard performance lets on. You know, I guess he probably didn't think Yard would come out as strong in the second fight as he did. You know, and I think maybe that caught him by surprise. I don't think he's, you know, going to be a world beater, but he's definitely better than I think that performance in the rematch leads to believe. And he got rid of McIntyre in the second round. In terms of the main event, which is the fight I was most looking forward to this weekend, I have to say, because I really saw it. I saw these two styles gelling together quite well. Just from the outside looking in, I actually saw these gelling well from the outside looking in. I saw Kelly as Josh Kelly and Troy Williamson, by the way. I saw Kelly as being the guy who will definitely start fast, but will fade down the stretch, at which point I thought Williamson would take over. And I had a few questions about Josh Kelly, how much he wanted it, how his hunger was for the sport of boxing, following on from the Avanesian loss. Well, he answered all them questions and then some, because this performance from Josh Kelly was absolutely tremendous. I mean, he really did. He ticked all the right boxes in there. And I think this is maybe a performance that was maybe always due in Josh Kelly, but for some reason never really fully came out. Because I've said before, and I'll say it again, look, I'm not saying he's going to go on to World Honours now after this, but I never understood the hype with Josh Kelly when he was with Matchroom and Sky. I really didn't understand it. I was just looking at Josh Kelly thinking he makes a lot of mistakes in there, and he will get exposed sooner or later. Now, in there against Williamson, or Troy Williams, Troy Williamson basically just made this fight easier for Josh Kelly, because he didn't change it up at all. I think that his feet were a bit too slow to be able to close the range quick enough. I think that the high guard just wasn't working. He was looking to do the same thing over and over and over again, and Kelly was just too fast. He had too much energy. Movement was great. His clinching game was great. Everything that Kelly did in this fight was just tremendous, and he didn't slow down. You know, that was the one thing I was thinking. I was thinking Kelly would have a lot of success early on. After the first 4 or 5 rounds, he would just pick up points and just, you know, he'd fade sooner or later down the stretch, but he didn't. And he boxed an absolutely brilliant fight. I think I gave Troy Williamson 2 rounds, and that's being generous. I mean, you could give it 12-0 to Josh Kelly realistically. So he moves on, he picks up the British title, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of where he goes. Some people were saying the Avanesian rematch. I mean, if he wants to avenge the loss, maybe, but like Avanesian is going to get wiped out this weekend by Terence Crawford. So I don't know really will Avanesian's stock be there after this, because he is going to get absolutely demolished by Terence Crawford this Saturday. He really will. So I don't know would there be any kind of... And that's going back down to welterweight. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a fight they're really going to target. Maybe have a look at... Maybe Sam Egan. You know, if he could come back down to 154 pounds, maybe have a look at that. Maybe... Would you risk? I say risk, but Dennis Hogan maybe? Would you have a look at someone like a Dennis Hogan? Because he's very beatable, Dennis Hogan. I mean, we've seen that. But would that be a risk too great for Josh Kelly at this point? Maybe, who knows? In terms of some of the other cards, just make sure that doesn't go off. In terms of the Saturday night card, obviously we had the Fury Chisora fight. I quite enjoyed the ESPN commentary, I'll just leave it at that. But the main talking point about this card was obviously Daniel Dubois. Now, I might just... Do you know what I might do? I might just touch on this one last and go straight into this separately. We'll talk about Juan Francisco Estrado, El Gallo versus Chocolatito. I watched this fight this morning. I enjoyed it. I didn't get a chance to do a review, but for me, I felt that Chocolatito was very unlucky in the rematch in the second fight that happened last year. I felt he was very unlucky not to get the nod. I thought that he'd done enough in that fight. In this fight, I feel that the right guy did get the decision. And I don't know why I sound upset about that, because I like El Gallo. I like Francisco Estrada. He's one of my favourite fighters to watch. But Chocolatito was special. You know, he really has a place near and dear to me. Watched him for many years. I mean, Roman Gonzalez, The Art of Moving. I don't know if that's still on YouTube, but that's a very old video of him, and it was brilliant seeing the footwork of him. And many years ago, I think it was about 8, 9, maybe even 10 years ago. Great video. And I've watched Roman Gonzalez throughout his career, and I try to keep it as objective as I can, even when I'm scoring a fight. I felt that El Gallo did enough to win. Just enough, but enough. I wouldn't be at all against seeing a fourth fight, because these fights are razor close. Like, I mean razor close. These fights between these guys. It's not like one guy is going in and he's dominating, and you know, you could make an argument that, okay, maybe we see a rematch if he does this different. They're razor close fights. And I thought that Chocolatito, I mean, I really, hand on heart, wrote him off after the Rundvasai knockout a couple of years ago. That's 5 years ago now. It's crazy how quick time goes. I wrote him off after that. I thought, that's it, he's done. He didn't look himself in that fight. That was not the Chocolatito we knew, or at least I'd seen prior to the Rundvasai first loss in that rematch. He just looked completely different. You know, he just didn't look himself, and he obviously got wiped out in the fourth round. For him to come back and have this run where, you know, he beat Caliafai. I mean, that's no great shakes, to be honest. But he took Martinez. Well, Martinez already lost, but you know what I mean. He stopped him, and Martinez fought in the undercard. Looked terrible on the undercard. Sonny Edwards, I'm telling you now, well, he's a very lazy fighter, to be fair. Not lazy, you know what I mean, but he's had issues with weight in the past, and was meant to fight McWilliams Ario. That fight is just seemingly cursed. Didn't happen. I think he's retired now, actually, McWilliams Ario. Him against Sonny Edwards, I'd be picking Sonny Edwards. And I've always felt that Edwards, I give him a good chance, a very good chance, because I look at what Andrew Selby did against Martinez, and I never really rated Andrew Selby too highly, but I see Andrew Selby as a pound shop Sonny Edwards, no disrespect. And if he can have all that success against Martinez, surely Edwards will have even more success. So that was that. In terms of Fury versus Chisora, I did see the Dennis Batchek versus Ivan Mendy. I was kind of zoning in and out of that fight, to be honest with you. And I seen one of the fights on the undercard. God almighty, the guy's name escapes me now. But he fought some journeyman. And he looked pretty good doing it. And obviously I saw Ben Davison's new guy. He went in there and got first round knockout as well. So I seen them fights. But Daniel Dubois versus Kevin Lerena, I mean, this was a strange one. This was a very, very, very strange fight. And I've already spoke about it in the video I did today about it. So I'm not going to go in depth in that, because I feel like I've done it to death already today. But a lot of strange things in that fight. The round one ending so early. I say so early, about 10 seconds early. It's still a bit of a head scratcher for me. And Dubois now, I mean, I'm gonna hope that he looks at this fight and actually takes lessons from it, in a sense of, do you know what? I was in trouble. I really did want to quit, but I didn't, and look what happened. You know, I think that, to me, if he has any kind of sense in his head, and this is not me saying he's stupid, but he looked like he wanted a way out after that first round. He looked like he didn't want it anymore in that fight, which is very worrying, because he'd only been hit by one shot. So that was a worry. That was a worry. But the fact he was able to come through it, I mean, Shane McGuigan played a big part in it, basically saying, you're going out tough shit. There it is. And I can say that. But basically, you're going out. And for him to go through that and get the win, obviously Kevin Lerena made it pretty easy for him. He didn't do anything. But to be able to go and do that, come through the adversity, that is going to show Daniel Dubois in the future. Hang on a sec. Even when it's bad, I can come through this and I can get the win. So I'm hoping that he takes that fight, as tough as it was, the first round, and is able to say, do you know what? The Joe Joyce fight, I was worried about my eye. I've been taking big shots. I took a knee and I quit. In this fight, I wanted to do the same. I didn't take as much as I did in the Joe Joyce fight, but I didn't quit. I kept going and I won. I'm assuming that he's going to look at that, and if I was Shane McGuigan, I'd be saying the same. Look at that and see what you've done, and you've come through it. You tick that box. You can keep going. My worry would be that if he fights someone else, whoever it may be next, he gets into a position where that's going to happen and he folds again, because a lot of opponents are going to look at Dubois and think, do you know what? If I could put it on you, you are going to fold. You are going to fold. Because it was kind of like that with Joshua when he lost to Ruiz. And I'm not comparing the two in terms of saying Joshua quit against Ruiz. Joshua kept getting up off the canvas. Joshua was way more hurt against Ruiz than Daniel Dubois was in any stage last night. Joshua showed his heart, tremendous heart in that fight he showed. But a lot of opponents looked at that and thought, if I could put it on Joshua. I'd say Kubrat Pulev was like that. Kubrat Pulev, I always thought he boxed Joshua. He went in there looking for a KO. And I guess that with Dubois, it's going to be something similar. They're going to look at Dubois and think, if I put it on you, you're going to quit. You're going to quit. You're not going to want it. And again, I'm sure Dylan White looked at that and thought, damn. Because I would have put it on him and he would have folded. So it's going to be interesting seeing who they match Dubois with next and what they do moving forward with him. Dylan White hits a lot harder than Kevin Lerena, and he's a lot more aggressive, and he will go for it. So if that had been Dylan White, it's anyone's guess what might have happened. I was saying that if it had been Dylan White and Daniel Dubois did have an injury, would they have risked it? Would they have taken the risk? Would they have looked at Lorena and thought, we can get through him with a bad leg, but can we get through Dylan White? Maybe they would have, I don't know. But that's the Daniel Dubois story there. Again, very strange fight. Very, very strange. I'm interested to see who he's going to be in there with next. And I wonder, will this help him? Will he be able to go and say, look, I came close to calling it a day in this fight. I didn't really want it after the first round, but I still stuck with it. And look what happened. I came through the other end. I actually won. It's not always, quitting at the first hurdle is never a good idea. It's never a good idea because you just don't know. You just always got to give it a go. In terms of the main event, obviously we had Dereck Chisora versus Tyson Fury. I've already done a post-fight review on that. My thoughts haven't changed in the immediate time. For me, it was a pointless fight. Didn't need to happen. Didn't need to be on pay-per-view. Fury showed he is a league above Dereck Chisora, but he was a league above him 8 years ago when he beat him in this exact same round at the end of the 10th round in the rematch, and now we had a trilogy fight that just did not need to happen. I compared it to Klitschko was in two of the most one-sided heavyweight title fights I've ever seen, which was John Mark Mormek and Alex Leopai, and now I add Tyson Fury into that category because this should never have been for the heavyweight title. It should never have been on pay-per-view. Chisora had really one good round in him, which was the first, and that was really it. So it got difficult to watch after a while. I think Chisora even said it himself, he'd no issue with the stoppage when Victor Loughlin stepped in when he did, because to me it just needed to happen sooner. To be honest, it was a real case. This guy is not going to win the fight. He's not got a punch to bother Tyson Fury, and that was that. It was basically a sparring session for all intents and purpose. But I did get a chance to see the face-off with Alexander Usyk. Usyk really did. I have a video that I'm going to do, probably record it tomorrow night and upload it on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning at some stage, about Usyk potentially playing mind games with Fury and potentially Alexander, because Fury is able to get into the head of the opponents. He is. And I think that's one of the reasons why Deontay Wilder in the trilogy fight was wearing the headphones, trying not to engage, because he bought on everything that Fury did in the first fight and in the second fight in terms of the mind games Fury was playing. I think Usyk is just so mentally strong. His will is just so great that Fury, he's gonna, I wouldn't even be surprised if Fury starts actually, showing little chinks mentally, because he's always been able to get to people. And he was saying that he's already beaten Klitschko, and Klitschko and Usyk couldn't be more apart in terms of their mentality. Klitschko a very petty man. You know, you could tell there's insecurities there definitely with Klitschko. Not with Vitali. Vitali wouldn't have crumbled, you know, mentally like Klitschko did. And I'm talking about mentally crumbling, not physically. But Vitali had the heart. Vitali was the man of the Klitschkos. Vladimir, I mean, look at what he did throughout his career. I mean, Kubrat Pulev was a good example, you know, in that fight. You know, Kubrat Pulev had to fight with Klitschko-approved gloves, the spongy canvas. You know, these people were signing contracts where they were getting absolute pennies to fight Klitschko, but they were getting opportunities. You know, I mean, amongst other things, he's just such a petty man. He'd wear the lifts in his shoes. Usyk is a world apart. Usyk is just stoic, you know. And I thought that Fury golden Usyk and Usyk just staring at him, I thought that was very good. That was very good. And let's get into the news a bit. So, Bob Arum has declared that Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko is close to being finalised. We are looking for a site and a date will be announced shortly. Alright, I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm making Devin Haney favourite at this time, but I'm still looking forward to it. Mauricio Sullivan said they intend to conclude their investigation into Conor Benn's positive drug tests with a ruling by the end of this month. UKAD also have their own investigation going. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. The whole Conor Benn situation, I mean, it really is just, I mean, as I've said several times, from the outside looking in, the guy looks guilty. You know, unless I see some absolutely well, he's not produced it yet, and I doubt he will, and it looks like he's going to get banned for however long, remains to be seen. Normally in these instances, it's probably, I reckon, 6 months to a year he'll probably get if he gets banned. And Conor Benn is young, so that's not going to affect him in the slightest. Eddie Hearn has also revealed that he's had very nice conversation with Deontay Wilder's manager Shelley Finkel in recent days. They've cleared the air about the failed Anthony Joshua talks. They're now open to communicating and trying to make the fight in 2023. Yeah, I'd love to see Wilder versus Joshua. I would imagine they're going to look to do it late in 2023 because I would find that very strange for a comeback fight for Anthony Joshua, to be honest with you, because Deontay Wilder, I mean, I just would find that very, very strange as a comeback fight because he could seriously knock AJ's head clean into next week. And I think AJ would, if he's coming in with not the greatest amount of confidence, he's going to overthink that fight so much because he's going to know Wilder can knock me out. And he's going to be in that fight fighting, overthinking about that right hand. I could easily see that happening. So we'll wait and see what the updates are. Don't get me wrong, like, I'd like to see it. I'd also quite like to see Wilder versus Ruiz because I think that's a decent enough scrap. But I think maybe one of the reasons they're looking to do Joshua versus Wilder is the financial reasons. You know, Wilder versus Ruiz, both guys would probably look for a lot of money. But would they be able to recoup the money with the event? That's the thing. You know, Wilder, I mean, to say his pay-per-view against Helenius was a flop was an understatement. I don't think that Ruiz did too good against Luis Ortiz. So why would PBC pay these guys crazy purses if they know they are not going to even recoup even a fraction of it? So maybe they're looking and thinking, you know what, Anthony Joshua versus Wilder, we'll make money on that. We'll get some good money on that. And if he wins, happy days. If he loses, hey, how much longer does he have anyway? I'm sure that's probably the thinking from people like Shelley Finkel and Al Heyman. Eddie Hearn said they are now exploring Callum Smith versus Joshua Buatsi. We've started talking numbers for the fight. I think it's going to cost a lot of money, but it's a great fight. We'll see. Plan is for Smith to fight March 11th in Liverpool. I'm hearing rumours about that potentially the opponent could actually be Lyndon Arthur's. Lyndon Arthur is potentially, it's a name I'm seeing listed here a lot. Lyndon Arthur, MS Bank Arena on the 11th of March. I wouldn't mind seeing that, to be honest with you. I think that Callum Smith is a level above Lyndon Arthur's, but Lyndon Arthur, I mean, alright, we'll see. In terms of him versus Buatsi, again, you know, Callum Smith is not the quickest in the world, but Buatsi, I mean, he's really just that, like, he's done very little since the Craig Richards fight. And the Craig Richards fight, I mean, he won it, and I thought he did just nick it, but it was a very close nip and tuck fight. So what level would you put? Where would you put Craig Richards? Would you say he's British level? I'd say he's just above British level, probably European level, thereabouts. So Buatsi is probably in around that level, maybe a little bit ahead of it, but not much. I mean, it wasn't like he wiped the floor with Craig Richards under no circumstances. So that's going to be an interesting one. If they did do Buatsi versus Callum Smith, I'd find that one an interesting fight. I really would. In terms of who I think could win, I'll be picking Callum Smith. He's more proven at that level, but certainly be an interesting one. All right. Right, Jaime Mungia has now turned down the WBO ordered middleweight world title fight against Yalibek. I mean, what the hell is going on with Jaime Mungia? At 154 pounds, I thought, like, this guy is looking good. I was looking forward to seeing him at 160. His run at 160 has been a complete joke. He's not, for whatever reason, he's ducking this fight against Yalibek. I see that as a duck. Unless you've got something much better in the pipeline, that's a duck as far as I'm concerned. Because what else? What else are you going to get at 160? Because you've done absolutely nothing at that weight. You've literally done nothing. You know, who you beaten? Your last fight, people didn't even know it was happening until it was over. And here you have a chance to fight for a world title against someone who didn't look amazing against Denzel Bentley. Denzel Bentley's been stopped before. Surely you'd be confident enough you get that win, wouldn't you? Surely your team would. But no. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to 168 pounds? Because it's not much easier up there. Well, it's all Canelo up there. Is that actually the plan, just to try and get a Canelo fight? I don't know. Anthony Yard and Artur Beterbiev had their face-off last night, which was interesting. You know, Beterbiev versus Yard. It's going to be... I think that's going to be a fun fight. I really do. I think that's going to be a very, very fun fight. In terms of next year and what might be happening, okay, with regards to this Fury situation, Tyson Fury revealed that he suffered an injury and he intends to have surgery on his right elbow before a potential fight with Alexander Usyk. I take that to mean that we're not getting it in March. So, obviously the hope for this was that, you know, you get the fight straight away. We get the fight next year, you know, hopefully March, April. I would probably say we're looking more along the lines of the summer. If that is the case, I would hope that the IBF would allow Alexander Usyk to wait it out, but maybe we could be in a situation where they actually order the Hrgovic fight. Maybe Usyk looks at the Hrgovic fight and thinks, do you know what? I'll just take the Hrgovic fight. I'm so confident of beating him that I'll just take that. I'll win it. I'll fight Fury in the summer. Maybe that's what he's thinking. Tyson Fury, it was saying, I didn't see this, but it was to do with Joe Joyce, and I want to call him out again. I want to come and call him out again. No one calls out Joyce. He deserves a world title fight. If Alexander Usyk don't fight him, then me and Joe will do Wembley. There you are. It's on the telly. I would imagine that is what Frank Warren wants. Frank Warren wants an in-house fight in Wembley, Joe Joyce versus Tyson Fury. Don't get me wrong. I pick Tyson Fury. I think he'd be too quick for Joe Joyce, but I wouldn't rule out Joe Joyce. I mean, I'd certainly see him as live in there. I definitely think Fury showed that this punching power that he supposedly, you know, has just developed under Sugar Hill Stewart, I think it's overrated personally. I'm not saying he's feather-fisted, but Joe Parker, who a lot of people don't consider a big puncher, he had Chisora way more trouble than Tyson Fury did. So if he was and Joe Joyce took those shots fine. So I wonder would there be anything Fury could hit Joe Joyce with that could really deter him. And I wonder how Fury would deal with because Fury's great at shutting you down on the inside, but Joe Joyce I reckon will have to beat the Fury up close in terms of strength, because Joe Joyce is a juggernaut. I mean, that is the best name. He is a juggernaut. So that would be a really, really interesting one. And then again, obviously here with the whole Usyk fight, asked if he'd have the fight in February, March. I've got to get surgery on my right elbow. I had the left one done. Now I have to have this one done. It will take about 6 to 8 weeks to heal. We'll see when we can be ready for the fight. So is it happening? Yes or no? Are you got because all this stuff about Usyk being, if Usyk is so bad, if it's such an easy fight, if he's a blown up middleweight, you know, you say you could beat this guy easy, you know, and you criticize. You see, you criticize Usyk. You criticize Usyk and say, oh, Usyk just fought Joshua in August and he says he's not ready for fighting in December. See, he's ducking. Well, your ass now, when you're saying, like, I'm going to get surgery, and yeah, I mightn't be ready, etc., etc. It's like, well, Usyk just literally got out of a fight. Usyk of course, he had a few little niggles as well. He wasn't ready for December. But he's ducking. You know? At the end of the day, like, I think Fury is a great fighter, and in that fight, for me, he really did show that if he fights Usyk, I think he beats him. I think he beats Usyk. But I don't think it's going to be easy. I think he will shut Usyk down. So that's why I just think, just get this undisputed fight over the line. No, I don't want to. I just want this undisputed fight. That's my preference. Unfortunately, Dereck Chisora has indicated that he wants to fight on following the defeat. Asked about retirement, he said, not yet. F that S. I'm going to take time out, chill, relax, and see how I feel. I'm not going out like this. Right, if he's not going out like this, right, if he has to have one more fight, just put him in there with a journeyman, let him get a win, and sail off into the sunset. Please, I don't want to see Chisora in 5 years' time talking about... I just don't want to see that. I really don't. In terms of Alvarez versus Ryder, very likely next May in the UK, US, or Mexico. Eddie Hearn has said that Dimitri Bivol could actually have a fight in the interim against Buatsi or Callum before a Canelo rematch in September, potentially for Canelo's undisputed super middleweight titles. So not even at 175 pounds, 168 pounds. Interesting. Very interesting. I think Dimitri Bivol wants to fight Beterbiev. Not that he's afraid of Canelo. He's seeking legacy. That's what he's seeking. He is seeking legacy. In my opinion, that's what he's seeking. In terms of John Ryder versus Canelo, look, I like John Ryder. I am happy to see him because he's a fighter who's had a lot of bad luck in his career. A lot of things go against him. So I'm happy he's going to get this payday. I'm happy he's getting a shot. I hope he brings it. I really do. I really do hope he brings it because I don't want... I'd hate for John Ryder to get this payday and just be kind of do a Callum Smith and just be like, let me get through to the end and I ain't going to try and win. I hope he actually tries to win that. He's not going to beat Canelo, not under any circumstances. But I'd like to see him make a go of it and see how he gets on. But it's going to be nice. He's going to get a big payday out of it. Him versus Canelo. If they did it in the UK, I'd 100% go. If they did it in Mexico, I'd consider it. I'd have to see where it is and how much it would cost. Obviously, America's a no-go zone. But I'd like to see Canelo fight live at least once. I would. I'd love to see him fight live at least once. So if it's in the UK, happy days. Mexico, depending on the price, we shall see. I'd love to see him fight live. I really would. I think that's pretty much all we have. I don't want to have this drag on too long. I will do some timestamps. I keep promising I will. Just sometimes, like last week was just unfortunate with uploading times. So obviously I'm going to try and get this timestamp. People like the timestamps, and I will do it. You see, the reason why I don't normally timestamp it is I don't listen back to these. I just edit it to just clip a few bits out, but I don't, because I just don't want to. I just, like, other people listen to it. Hence the reason why I don't normally timestamp them, but I will timestamp them. People like it, so I will do it. I will listen. Hopefully I get my mic delivered this week. It's a new one. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep all reliable, but hopefully this new one is a proper... I'm just a bit worried about it. Will it give me good sound? Because it's going to be mounted on the actual... It's a Bluetooth mic. It's going to be mounted on the iPhone. So we'll see how that goes. But in terms of everything else, I hope you all have a good week, lads and lassies. I hope you enjoy it. 9,700 subs. 300 away from 10k. That was, 60 subs overnight. That's pretty good going. We need to just do that another few weeks until the end of the year and we're at the 10k. I am hopeful we can get that. I really want to get it. I think we can. Of course we can. 10k by the end of this year, 20k by the end of next year. I'm serious about that. 20k next year. That's the goal. Because you got to keep pushing. Be lying if it's 20k next year, 10k end of this year. Easy work. We can do that. Lads. We can do that. In terms of everything else, I hope you all have a great week. Hope you enjoy it. Going out in the morning. So obviously, if you're going to work, hopefully I'm getting you in there, you listen to that, and I hope everyone has a good week this week. We're going up to Christmas. Everything is good. Let's keep it that way. Let's have a good end to this year and a good start to the new year and keep it going. Keep all the good going. I think me and several others have had their bad moments this year. They're gone. They're in the past. F them. And let's keep going. We're nearly at Christmas. It's good. So hope you enjoy it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.